Good morning, everybody. How you doing? I am Ted Davies. This is TED Talks, and you're on Ted Davies Artistry's YouTube channel, as well as Facebook and all that other fun stuff. I don't think I'm on Instagram, but anyway, share it out, please. That would be awesome. I look forward to you guys seeing who I have as a guest today. CHAD NUSS is a third of the Dastardly Dingoes, but that's just part of his greatness. He is a creator that I think is going to make a lot of headway, not just in storytelling, but as an artist. I'm very, very happy for him in the choices that he's made as of late for his business and for his profession. And I'm looking forward to you guys meeting a little bit more about him with the trials and tribulations of Plan B, so to speak. And I really want you guys to see and listen to what he's doing, because I think it's really important that the steps that he's taken are not easy ones, and I did that, and then he and I are going to discuss that as far as our journey as artists and storytellers. Really interesting. I think it's going to be for you as creatives. I'm hoping anyway. But first, let's talk about Indian River Roasting Company. You know what? Let me back up. First off, before Indian River Roasting Company, I'm going to tell you something. This last week, we've got some really creative neighbors around here. Really awesome people. I know we live next to a cemetery. I'm not talking about them. I'm sure they were creative in life. But Becky Franchek down the street is just retiring, and she's been making pottery as part of her kind of a hobby. And it's just beautiful. I wanted to showcase some of this stuff because as an artist, I think we need to do that. Whether we're showing books or drawings or whatever, we need to share people's talents. The glazing work on here is awesome. I'm a big fan of poetic pottery in Detroit, Michigan, and this really reminded me of it. But the glazing work, Becky, you knocked it out of the park. Thank you for giving a few gifts to Christine and myself, and we do appreciate it very, very greatly. So check out. I don't think she's got a website yet, but I'll keep you posted on what's going on. But yeah, really, really cool pottery stuff. So she did not make this cup. This was actually given to me by my niece, Allison, and I use it proudly. And in the cup today, we got my own blend of coffee called Waking Dragon that Indian River Roasting Company put together specifically for me, which you can purchase on their website. It is full-bodied. It's delicious. It's really good with chocolate and a cigar. Forget about it. It's absolutely delicious. Or even without breakfast, it's great. Throughout the day, I like having a good cup of coffee, and that suits it. So, but let's find out a little bit more about Indian River Roasting Company. Here at Ted Davies Artistry, we take coffee seriously. And so does our sponsor, Indian River Roasting Company. It's fair trade, organic, and they're artisans just like me. The only difference is I use watercolor and ink and they use coffee beans. And I enjoy it all through my day. So do yourself a favor, go to the description when you like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Find Indian River Roasting Company's website. Use the promo code CAFFEINATED2021 and save 10% on your purchase. Check out everything that they're doing on Indian River Roasting Company. You'll find it in the description. The website's IndianRiverRoastingCompany.com. Of course, there's Waking Dragon. There's the logo. You got to love it. Yeah, I drew it. It's baby Welsh Dragon. Welsh Dragons are big in my family because my dad was from Wales. But anyway, okay. Give you an idea what it looks like. Get you the logo. Also, I want to talk about John Cashman. Cashman's Comics in Bay City. Had a great, great Saturday. It was Free Comic Book Day. It rocked. The stack. Look at this. I mean, I bought some of these, but some of the stuff. I mean, the Batman 89, Brian Rodman, you rock. This is a great, really, really good send out. I love Batman from 1989 anyway. But we got some really, really, really just awesome books free. And then I also purchased some stuff because that's what we do. We support our local comic shops. John's awesome. He's been there 25 years. He's got a sale going on until September 4th. Check out everything he's doing, and let's see the promo for him. Give me 1 second.
same way now. Need to find something to believe. Every night the dreams we make, they're haunting my head now.
Yeah, so check out everything that John's doing. Say hi to Petey, the dog, when you go down to Bay City. Tell both of them that you saw me on TED Talks and that I sent you down there to spend money and to save money, of course. He'll ship nationwide. So even if you're not in the Bay City area in Michigan, you can still order stuff and have it sent out to the house. So whether you're a novice collector or a seasoned collector like myself. So check out everything that John's doing. He is awesome. And say hello to Petey. We're also proud affiliates of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. A lot going on. We're a group of creatives that help other creatives build their business, both education and entertainment wise. We are on 7 days a week. I've got a few shows, too many, some people say, but I enjoy it and it's a lot of fun. TED Talk starts out Tuesdays at 10 a.m. and then we close out the day, if I'm not mistaken, with Brian with Clever Title Pending. And it is awesome. Brian K. Morris has got very, very good guests. I've been on there a couple of times. That's why I say that. He's got some really good guests, though. He's never a slouch when it comes to interviews. So, and he's a lot of fun anyway. Tomorrow, Wednesday, on my channel as well, we've got the Truth Mongers, which is basically a common sense conspiracy theory view on life. And we take conspiracy theories and kind of dissect them and see maybe what it's about and what we think that what we're being told and what the actual truth of the matter is. So check out what we're doing on the Truth Mongers. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern, we are talking about the hollow earth and the concept of that, who came up with it, and some really interesting things about it. I'm pretty much the conspiracy, I don't know, teacher, maybe purveyor, and Glenn B. Fleming is the co-host, and he's more of a stabilizer to it all. So I try to bring in something that makes you think a little bit, not to scare you, but just to get your juices flowing and see if it makes any sense to you. So check that out. But check out everything that we're doing on the broadcasting network. Rising Tide is we're on Facebook. Check out everything on Facebook. Follow us on that. And every person on here has got a YouTube channel. Check out everything they're doing and take a snapshot of this, because I think that there's it's forever changing. There's always things being added. Sometimes times change in that too during the day. And we are back Wednesday. Christine and I are doing Drinking with the Davies on this Friday, because it's the third Friday of the month. And we did change the time because it's a little bit easier in the Davies household at 7 p.m. Because I know Chris works outside the house. Everybody knows. So 7 p.m. is going to work out. And it might be a little bit longer, too. We've got a little bit of a surprise there. So, and we're going to be teaching you guys about the sidecar. And it's going to be a really interesting drink. I'm looking forward to it. Plus, we got a bonus. Might be a little bit longer show than normal. So check it out, because I think you guys will really enjoy it. And, of course, Christine's always entertaining, as you guys know. So, okay. I'm going to bring in the guest in a second. But first, I'm going to look at the comments, and I want to say good morning to everybody. CHAD NUSS, hello, good sir. When did they drop you off on this planet?
Well, let's see here. They were on their way to the prolegomena system, and they decided to drop me off in 1976 so I could grow up and tell the story about who they are and the whole mythos behind the silence. That's what happened there.
Awesome. And the silence is proudly I own. The silence is now I'm not going to consider it your opus, but it's not bad coming out of the gate, bro. We're going to talk about a little bit more about the silence and the Kickstarter, the Silence 2, and what's happening right now, which has already been fully funded. But that does not mean that you don't need to invest, because I think that you're going to see some greatness in the series, as well as the artwork. It's phenomenal.
Thank you.
So let's say good morning, everybody. Donna, Carl, I don't know if you can see the comments or not. Chad, Brian, oh God, Brian.
Oh, here we go.
Jeez.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Well, yeah. Where's that block button? Okay. Donna, Brian Rodman's part of the Dashly Dingos, if you guys don't know. And Rodman's he's a staple. He's a great guy, and I recommend any person that's breathing, check out the Dashly Dingos, which Chad is a third of. I don't know if it's the right the top third, but I don't know, whatever.
It's really just me and Jeremy. Brian just hangs out just because we're cool. I
And
love
that's the
to.
type of that's the type of
Yes.
banter that goes on the
Yeah.
whole show.
Yeah.
It's great. Eric Hawkins is here. Chad Davies is here. Hello, Chad. How you doing, bud?
The
Yeah.
Chads
So
are here. Yeah.
yep. So let's check out what's going on with you. So tell everybody, you know, if anybody doesn't know, you are an alien, actually.
Yeah.
So
I
in a
am.
good way, So why don't you talk a
Yes.
little bit about that, and then we'll get into your growing up and where you worked and all that fun stuff.
Sure. I see Brian K. Morris just chimed in there. Hello.
Oh, there he is. Yeah. Yeah, hey, Brian.
So I was originally born in Canada, but we moved to the States when I was really young. So I feel more American, just because I've lived here most of my life. And so how much detail you want me to give?
Well,
Like,
I mean, I want people to know. See, the whole thing about TED Talks is to show people, they can do it too. They can make this. They can, if they're creative and they are a storyteller, or if they want to do books, whatever, they can do it. And I want people to see, if you had humble beginnings, or if you're a jet set kid, whatever. I want them to know, you're real. That's the thing. That's that. So you be comfortable. You tell people what you want them to know, and then But
that's really helpful.
Your starting point in Canada is great. I mean, that's
So growing up, like, I always loved to draw. I always had that creative kind of personality and bent to me. Always was like pretty shy kid. So, it's one of those things where it was like a catch-22. Like, on one side, I wanted to draw, I wanted people to see it. But then on the other side, like, you hate the attention, that kind of thing. So I really always struggled with that my whole life. And that really was influenced whether I did art for a living or not, and all those kind of decisions, because for the majority of my life, I worked a regular job and then just did art on the side.
Yeah.
I did go to art school. I got a degree in illustration, had, big hopes and plans that, certain doors didn't open the way I thought they would. And then other things happened in my life. So, how life is, you have, you have a plan, and then all of a sudden it goes the other way. So that's kind of what happened with me. And so for the majority of my life, like I said, I worked in restaurants. I was a waiter. I worked in the kitchen. I moved up to management, was a kitchen manager, and then became a general manager. And all during that time, I was still drawing, but it was just for me, or I work on this comic. The Silence actually started back when I was in middle school as a middle school idea of these superheroes. And then over time, it transformed into The Silence over many years. So all that to say, it's not until recently, and I'm sure we'll get into this, it's not until recently that I quit my 9-to-5 job and decided to do this full time and take the calculated risk of trying to find work and that kind of thing. So, and there's a lot behind that. I struggled with that for many years. I considered doing it for a while, but everything just kind of opened up for me to do it right now. So it was perfect timing, and I'm really excited about it. So
let me go back a little bit. What was the first? We won't get into you can tell us if you had a newspaper route in that, but what was your first art gig? What did you get first paid for?
Honestly, not till recently.
Really?
And it was, of course I did the first book. And so I got, some money off that, but nothing that I could live off of, So it wasn't until, I did some odd jobs here and there, that kind of thing, like, do a logo or an illustration or something like that, but nothing like. I did some book illustrations, probably about 3 or 4 years ago. A professor came and asked me, he was writing a book and he needed some illustrations for it. So I would probably consider that one of my first real, got paid for drawing.
Wow.
And that was about 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's remarkable. I mean, as far as you're not that you're super old, you're not, but it's remarkable that you've been an artist since you were a little child, and then it's taken you that long. I'm not saying it's bad or good, but that, wow, that
yeah.
I got in, I kind of snowballed. I got, whether it was t-shirts, it's not like I was, kindergarten making cash. doing drawings. It
Yeah.
wasn't like that, but I mean, as in architectural design, that kind of stuff. But I did logos, all kinds of stuff through high school, college, and that's really quite remarkable. Just the span. But knowing you though, it's probably you gave a lot of stuff away, right?
Yeah, I would give a
I
lot of
mean,
stuff away. And you
yeah.
know, the other thing too, I personally wrestle with, and this is not a good thing. This is more of a character flaw. I really for many years,
I
like,
think you're too hard on yourself, but yeah, go ahead.
well, I just really kind of hated drawing for other people.
Yeah,
And so like, but that's changed. So
Yeah.
for many years, that was my struggle. Like I wanted to draw the silence and I want to draw the things I wanted to draw.
Yeah.
And I just hated when people would come to me and say, "Hey, can you draw, this whatever, and logo or business card, whatever."
Yeah.
And I would say yes, because I know, you should do it, but I would dread doing it the whole time. And, but recently that's changed because I started to realize, okay, like to be able to draw or create is a gift, regardless of what you believe. Like I believe it's a gift. And so if it's a gift, you need to steward it well. And one of the best ways to steward it is to serve other people. And so I thought, I should really use this in a way that I can do just that, is to draw for other people. And so my mind on that changed. And so now I'm doing freelance full time as best I can. And I'm starting to really enjoy it, like actually enjoy it. Not like, well, I've got to do this for money.
You're
but like
with it. Yeah.
Really. Yeah. Now it's really, I'm into the projects that come my way and I'm like, oh yeah, I could do that. And make that person happy and it helps them out and that kind of thing. So, so for me, that was a big reason why it wasn't until later that I actually got into doing paid work and that kind of thing. And some of it is self-confidence too, like it's hard to put your stuff out there and then like put a price tag on it. That's a very difficult move.
Yep.
But I'm becoming more comfortable with that just as I've worked with people and I kind of know a range of like what's acceptable, what's too much. Some of that actually just recently a good friend of mine hired me to do some work, and I just told him, I said, let me be transparent with you. I don't know how to price this. So let's like talk through this. Like, you're a good friend of mine. You're willing to pay me. And so I kept underbidding him, and he would keep saying, no, you should do this. So then the next time I came back and I way overbid, and it was a bit embarrassing, but it was a good lesson because I was like, okay, I see that's way too high, but this is, you start to learn the range.
Yeah, sure. Well, you've got to learn. I'm glad that you've got that experience, that you've got a person that helps you, guide you that way. I mean, in whatever direction. That's important. Yeah. I've had, I know you get lowballed a lot, and you're going to say, oh, well, can you do it for this? No, I mean, you know what I mean? You have to be assertive. You can't, you don't have to insult people, but you got to be assertive in your talents. I'm telling you now, and I will put my a statement in my length of artwork and everything else. You're awesome. You've got such great line quality. You have been an awesome architect. I mean, seriously, engineering wise, you would have been brilliant. I mean, if whatever, I know math isn't, it's like you with me. I don't really care for math that much. I've never liked math. I'd rather have words, you know what I mean? To make the story. And that's funny in architecture, but math is, it's, you need it, but it's like, I don't think I've ever used algebra, outside of work. So whatever, but you're the guidance that you think that you had now, you obviously got your degree. You ended up going, you moved to the States first. Let's talk to that. So you moved to the States. Where'd you guys settle? Were you down?
Yeah. So when I was
right now, or
no, when I was in third grade, we moved out to California, and we lived there for about 5 years. And then in middle school, I moved to Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And we lived there for about 3 years. And then in high school, I moved to here, which is Kentucky. And so Kentucky is kind of my home. It's where I've been the longest. It's where my wife's from. It's where my immediate family is. So it's, I definitely consider this my home.
That's cool.
But all my extended relatives on my side still live in Canada, but I'm not like super close with them. So like, this is more my home here. So.
I got you. Was it Windsor? Where was it that you're in Canada? Toronto?
I was born in Brampton, which is just outside Toronto. And then we lived in Niagara Falls up until third grade. So I was born there, but then we moved quickly after that to Niagara Falls. So Niagara Falls is kind of where I'm from, but I went to school in Toronto. So in college, I went back to Toronto for 4 years and then came back to the States.
tell everybody when we went to school, because I think it's badass. So
Which, you know, you say that, I had no idea. Like,
I told
honestly,
you, I'm telling
yeah,
you, I'm telling you. But I
I
have a
went.
lot of we had a lot of family in Toronto, and my parents, we used to go there a lot, and it was
Oh, okay.
so like that was a major thing. There was like Creative for Center for Creative Studies in Detroit, major player in art
Yeah.
and design. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I went to the Ontario College of Art and Design in
Right.
Toronto,
Right.
and I honestly, with the way you're reacting, I had no real
I'm telling you,
idea.
man. At least in
Because
the Northeast, there's a lot
yeah,
of people that would apply if they could go to Canada. They would go
yeah,
there. You know, I'm serious. So
yeah. I haven't been back to Toronto in probably 20 years, so I have no idea. I know they've changed the building, and
yeah,
you know, I didn't really. I was a much different person back then too. I mean, partly just immaturity wise and that
well,
kind of thing. I
sure.
mean, it was a long time ago. Everyone's like that, but so it was a different experience. Of, you know, all of us could say if I could go back and do it again. I mean, if I were the person I am now, I would have totally done it differently. But yeah, so it's been a really long time. And you know, the other thing too, like after college, my dad had died during that time, and that really affected my life. So like, you know, I spent many years not drawing a whole lot after
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
just trying to figure out life basically. And it wasn't until probably in the last like 8 or 9 years that I really got back into drawing a lot. So that also factor into the fact that I'm doing paid work now later, later in life, you know.
Yeah.
And there, you know, there's sometimes I'm like anyone else, like I'll have those midlife crisis moments where I think, yeah, I'm 45 and like I'm just now starting to do freelance. Like there's people that started freelance when they got out of college and been doing it for like 30 years and
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
are so
we all
farther along, you know.
we've
But
all got our paths, and I didn't mean any
yeah,
disrespect on that at all.
no,
Because
not at all, not at
you
all.
got a
No.
great your whole demeanor is just. I know you're a hard worker. Your work ethic's there, and I know that it's hard shifting. You know, when you're in an environment and it's a very stressful environment. Being a restaurateur is unbelievable. I can't imagine just going through that for as a career. Hospitality's got to be tough.
Yes. Yeah.
And you know, now you're shifting to where the customer was always right.
Mm.
And I don't think that now. I
Yeah.
think that you're in a different
Yeah.
ball game now. So
Yeah.
you know, you're going to learn a lot as far as the of what your abilities are. I mean, really, I think that it's a good thing. I think I'm really your plan B. It's the best time to do it.
Yeah.
More
For
people
sure.
are leaving their jobs now than at any other time, I think, and
Yeah.
unless they were thrown out of their job. I mean, 2008 was a nightmare, but here it's a whole nother dynamic. People
Yeah.
are leaving their jobs because they want to be suited to other things that they think that their lives are going to be beneficial, you know,
Yeah.
from or for. And I think that I think calculating wise, it's a very good move, especially when you're plugging in with all the different creatives that you're plugging in with now. There's you know, I know the Rising Tide, you know, I talk about them nonstop, but you know, I know that you're part of this group now, and I know that there's a lot of people that will support you, you know, in your endeavors. So,
we just got a question from Ryan.
did we? Let me see what we got. Sorry, I'm so into talking to you. Good morning, everyone.
It.
Elevator pitch for the silence. Is that what you were talking about? Or is it
Yeah, I don't know if you want to do that now or later, but
okay. Well, let's fast forward it. Let me tell you a little bit about. Let me tell you. I fell into this because I did not know that you even wrote this, and then it was on when you guys interviewed me on the Ashley Dingoes that I fell. It was an opportunity. I'm like, I had to buy it. So, tell them what it's about. Tell them about the silence.
If I had to give my elevator pitch, my 10-second, it's basically a group of flawed heroes. There's 4 of them, but 2 main ones in their search for the meaning of life, which I know sounds kind of boring, but it's pretty exciting because it breaks that fourth wall a lot because you as the reader are being challenged to think through a lot of those issues as well. So it's a sci-fi book. Super epic, as big as you can think. You know, I call it a space symphony. So it's got 4 movements, and in each movement, you're following these characters through this kind of massive story in this system called the Prolegomena system. It's got 12 planets, and each planet represents a different philosophy or worldview. So
repeat that again, because that was a huge thing for me. I didn't realize how important that was tell them one more time, because
About
that's
the prolegomenon
Yeah.
system?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, the prolegomenon. So prolegomenon is a big fancy word that basically is like your foundation of philosophy or theology. So as you think through things, it's basically you think about how you think. It's your first steps. And so I use that as the name of this system because that's what's happening to them. They grew up on a utopian, which is actually a dystopian society. Everything falls apart for them. They realize they've been taught lies their whole life. And so they go off on this journey to find the real answer. And they're confronted by these 12 different philosophies. And they have to like figure out, is this consistent? Does this actually work? That's what's going on behind the story.
Yeah.
But on the surface of the story, it's very entertaining, very deep. And I try to do it multi-layered and also integrate literature. So like you'll get narrative, you'll get poetry, you'll get dialogue, obviously, because it's a comic book. You know, so it's one of those. I'm trying to make this not just a comic book, but a work of art. Another,
and
yes,
you succeeded. You succeeded.
I appreciate that.
The black and white. I think that I know color. Why being if it was in color, it would be amazing, even better. But I'm digging the black and white, and I think that probably from an economic standpoint, it was probably cheaper, obviously. But
yes,
I mean, if you guys can see that, I mean, it's incredible. You're an absolute. I mean, it's your genius here. It really is. Your talent is. I mean, your pencil work's phenomenal. Where can everybody buy this? Let's talk about that first. Can you get it in the Kickstarter, or do you have to buy it separately?
So right now we're doing a Kickstarter for Volume 2, and one of the tiers is you can get both 1 and 2 together.
Okay.
So that's where I would point everyone to first. Okay. But if you miss the Kickstarter or whatever, for whatever reason, you can get it on my website, thesilencecomics.com, and there's a store link in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So just check that. We'll leave that up there for a couple minutes. So the biggest, the really cool thing about the story is that besides the artwork, and the one of the things about character development and that the thing that I find in a lot of comics is that the stories suck. I mean, frankly, and the artwork is just so explosive and it's just blah, and I'm just the opposite. I would rather you tell the story through very almost primitive means if you need to. This story has a balance to it. It's got killer art. The storyline is really interesting enough to captivate you, but not like inundate you with an agenda. You've got, you're philosophical, it's religious. It does have some religion aspects to it, but not like, you're not like pushing it on anybody. It's more of a theological side. At least that's the vibe I got. And I appreciate that because I don't like being force fed. Right.
Yeah.
And I know you don't either, depending on whatever it is. Agendas are a funny thing. Yeah. But the silence, it delivers. I'm looking forward to the second because the character development, the architecture of it, just brilliant. I mean, when I looked at there's a lot of aerial views and that of different fauna and all kinds of stuff throughout the whole thing. And it's just brilliant. I mean, I told Brian Rodman that he cried for like an hour. He says, I hate him. I hate him. He loves you, Chad. But
I know I love him too.
He called you a quitter in this program.
Yeah, I saw. I'm seeing his comments over here. Yeah.
But then, in all seriousness, though,
with compliment.
Yeah, he did.
But,
so we're gonna put it out. We're gonna put that out there just because he's Rodman.
That's guilt. That's what that is.
I know as well. That's his penance.
Yeah.
But I mean, I should have actually had these brought out, but just amazing stuff, dude. Your line quality is just amazing. And the fact that you put the sketches in the back, do you have that on the next one or no? I'm
going to do the same thing with the next one. Yeah, there'll be some sketches. There'll be the pencil artwork as well. And then
some it's all hardback too. I mean, this was a hardback. Are they all hardback?
Yeah. Going forward, as long as the publisher or the printer or whatever that I'm working with is still around, they'll do all the books because they did an awesome job with those. So. Brilliant.
No, I'm glad that you. It definitely makes my library better.
Thank you.
So continue on.
First, I just want to say to Ryan Premison. I don't know if that's
absolutely, Ryan. Yep.
Just thank you for the compliments and appreciate that you are digging the book. So thank you so much. So,
Yep. And then thanks, Ace, for subscribing to our channel too, by the way. Appreciate that. Ryan Permisson. I mean, everybody on this call, Eric Hawkins, the whole crew you got some really stellar people here. So
that's awesome.
I think that
appreciate it, guys.
even Rodman. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about him, but yeah, all the others are great. So just kidding.
The what was with the thought on one of the main characters has one of the main things in the story is there's a breather. They've got this equipment that they need to breathe.
Yeah.
What was Brian Rodman involved in any of that?
No, that was before I met Brian. I think he made up the asthma because of my comic book. I think that's basically what happened. Just faking
so
it.
Now he's cool
time.
Between the nebulizer and the
he's
silence.
He's
okay, cool. Poor Brian. He's going through so much hell right now.
I know.
I hope he starts feeling better. What would you have done differently on the silence? What would you have done in the book?
On number one,
yeah,
the lettering is horrible. So on the second one, the lettering will be much better. So I was trying to do too much with it. I tried like changing the fonts for each character. Some of the spacing is really bad. I just honestly, when I was doing it, I didn't realize how important lettering was. And so when I did it, I just thought it was fine. But now when I look back at it, I'm like, it's pretty distracting in places. So this issue 2, the lettering is much, much better. So and it's not one of those where I regret it, would want to redo it or anything. It's just one of those, you look back, you always want to.
Sure. Well, it's your first one. I mean, it's like anything. I know that with Retrieve, I'm doing a whole new tray. I'm doing all different kinds of things. I'm changing. The first comic, it's going to be blitz. You're trying to get it out there and get it published, and so whatever. But this is you out of the gate though. Very well done. Very well thought. And I'm telling you, the artwork is just for the artwork alone. If you ended up just doing prints, I mean, I'm going to do this real quick. Brian Rodman always gives you heat about the wall behind you. I think that's one of the best selling points. I think it's brilliant. I think that anybody who is looking as a comic book artist, as an illustrator, I mean, your line quality is exceptional. What kind of pens do you use? Do Burrells? What do you Prismacolor?
The Faber-Castells, the Pitt pens.
Yep.
I like those. That they don't last like super long, but
but you get the edge. I mean, they'll go ahead, show that again. Sorry. Yeah.
Those bad boys right there. So they're really the only ones. I do have some microns. I don't really get into microns too much, but
I use a lot of micron.
The one I started on this last page that I just inked that I really used a lot, and I was really surprised, was the brush pen.
Yeah.
And I usually like the smallest nib I can find.
Is that a real refill or no? That's a
no. I have one of those. You know what? It's so funny. I bought one of these. It's usually sitting here right on top. So this is probably. Oh, here it is. I bought one of these bad boys. But the package it came in was in all, I think, Chinese, Mandarin or something, and I cannot read, so I have no idea how to use this. Like, I don't know how to fill it up. So I need to get on. I was actually just talking to my wife about it. I was like, I need to get on Google or whatever, figure out how to fill these things up. But yeah, I want to start.
There's got to be a YouTube channel on it, I would think.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So eventually I'll go to this because I started using that brush pen, and it was just, except for straight lines and that kind of thing. Yeah. You could get such line quality, like variety just in one stroke. Whereas with a smaller, thinner pen, you have to go back over and like really work your lines. Whereas this was so much easier. Just, so I'll probably get more into that.
Cool.
In the future.
You did some digital work, and that's one thing Brian and I were talking, Brian Rodman and I were talking about. I'm switching over a little bit to digital now, and I've done CAD work for years, but I was trained professionally as a draftsman. So I know, the boards, the drawing boards and everything, it's second nature. So, you're amazing. Your digital work, the thing that you've got right now on is it for auction right now? Is that what were you doing right now? Do you have it handy?
Are you talking about the flower?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right here. I got to print it here. This one here.
You guys, I don't know if you've seen this. Follow Chad on on Instagram as well as Facebook. But let me pull that up. He's got a photograph that he took of this, right? And then you ended up doing it digitally. And I'd be hard pressed to see the difference. We Rodman, his compliment is that he hated you because you said, I think I'm just going to take up coloring, or I think I'm going to digitally or whatever. And you knocked it out of the park. And it was so natural to you. It wasn't, I know you worked hard at it, but for us, looking at it like, holy cow, look what this guy did in such a short amount of time. That picture's beautiful. I mean,
Thank you.
that alone.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I'll give a quick shameless plug. That's actually for Patreon. So I just started a Patreon, and so my Patreon account it's it's only one entry level. It's $5, and for $5, everyone gets a digital copy of those. Sorry, let me back up. Every month I'm doing an artwork of the month. So this digital painting of the flowers, that's the artwork of the month for August.
Mm-hmm.
And so all the patrons get a digital copy of that, so they can print it out and put it on their wall. And then one patron gets picked and they get a signed physical copy sent to them.
Wow.
And then I post videos multiple times a week, just like process videos or like time lapse, or like just talk about like how my technique and approach to doing that. So the digital, I don't like to draw digitally, like the inking. I can't get as precise as like traditional.
With the pen. Yeah, I agree with that.
But the painting, I love. I absolutely
control the different brushes. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm so
amazing.
into that. Totally. Yeah. The every technique. You know what you guys in the audience, if you guys have Brian Robin, if you have Chad's Patreon, if you could put it in the conversation, that would be great. Or if you can, Chad, if you want to put it in the private chat, and then I can move it over. It's totally up to you. We put it in the description, whatever. But let's get that moving, as well as your website. Because I know that Kickstarter's easy. Everybody can just look up the silence too, and that's pretty easy. But I want people to really partake in what you're. I said partake, yes, because they're all talking about marijuana.
I know. I've been reading the comments about the edibles and stuff,
which is great. I'm all about all forms of healing has its place. So I'm all about that.
There it is in the private.
Is it? Okay, very good. Let me copy that over, guys, and continue. Keep talking. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. So, and then also those, I'm going to do one every month of those prints, and then there'll be a different one. And then at the end of the year, I just decided I'm going to put them all together into an art book and publish it through Kickstarter and that kind of thing. And it'll be all different. It'll be all different things. So like this one, it's your regular still life, but then the next one I'm planning on doing will be more of a sci-fi, and then I'll do a comic book one, and then I'll do a abstract. So you'll get like a lot of different a variety of artwork and genres.
And the value. I mean, the value's there, guys. I had to put this up.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah,
I thank you for the compliment and the little stab too.
Your coalition of I'm going to call them creatives, because that's exactly what they are. The Dastardly Dingoes has been, when they said they were going to bring a third on. It was, you kind of like, why? What's the point? I am so glad they did. Because I think that you round out the whole. Because honestly, both of them are pretty boring after like 5 minutes. We can get, we need to have a little fresh blood in there.
There you go. See, I'm kind of in the middle, because you have Brian that is a little bit over the top sometimes. And
right. Then Jeremy's very subtle. But Jeremy, the thing about Jeremy, he's like a tack hammer to the forehead. He'll say he'll come out of like left field and it's bam. And it's funny. Some of the stuff he comes up with is hysterical.
Jeremy is kind of like Weekend at Bernie's. He's like the guy in the back. Like you don't know if he's alive or not, because he's just sitting there. And then all of a sudden he'll say something. And you're like, oh, you're with us. Oh, hello. So I'm kind of in the middle. I'm not over the top, but I'm not as quiet as Jeremy. But of course, Brian gives me Brian just said, I'm convinced Jeremy is asleep at the time.
He's great. And he's awesome. One of the things about him too is I think that his genius is that it's in production. It really is. He's really got, and that's the type of mindset. I've had some really good conversations with him, just as messaging goes. Yeah. It's like it's easier when it's behind a keyboard. You know what I mean? To discuss things, and it's just been really good to know get to know him.
Let me just say one thing
Yeah.
real quick for them. First of all, I want to say they are really great friends for me. They're people that I can bounce not only ideas off of, but like personal issues. There's been a lot of times where we'll just text each other like, "Hey, this is what I'm wrestling with. This is what I'm dealing with," and they're always so encouraging, like brothers, really. But and then on the other side too, like Brian, I look at him almost like a Robert Kirkman. That's the guy that did the Walking Dead, right? Because he showed me a page of like all these logos of all these different stories that he has brewing that he's going to do over the next like 10 or 15 years. And I'm like, bro, like I can just handle my one story. You've got like 15 to 20 series in your mind. Like it's just amazing how
it's
his mind works.
It's staggering. And then he does all the artwork too.
That's the thing. And and his artwork from issue 1, and I know this happens to everyone, but for him, like the improvement from issue 1 now to issue 8 that he's working on has just been incredible. And he really has that style of my mind, of course, just went blank. But the guy from the stinking Hellboy, I can't think of his name.
Mike Mignola.
Yeah.
How dare you, man? That's like blasphemy. I'm like, you're on my show and you don't know Mike Mignola's.
Please forgive me. Please forgive me. It was one of those things that happens all the time to me. Sometimes it'll happen to like people I know.
Well, welcome to your 40s, bro.
Well. I'll be looking at him like, I know you. My mind went blank and I can't think of your name. But
Rodman doesn't know what he's in for yet.
Yeah, I know. So, but anyways, like he is intensely creative, and I love being around those guys because we really bounce ideas and really drive each other to get better. And then with Jeremy, he did the Kickstarter video for my page, number 1. So I would just tell you, you don't have to play that right now, but I'm telling everyone else that's looking at my page, just watch it just for the video. Even if you don't subscribe, please like watch the video. And then if you ever need like any kind of like promotion, production work, he is 100% amazing. Like there have been things where he'll say to me, "Hey, what do you want?" And I'll tell him, and it'll come out like, "Oh, that's exactly what I was thinking when we talked about it." Right.
Yeah.
And he just started going freelance as well. And that's what he wants to do is production. So I just want to like, not just because he's my friend and not just because he's doing that, but he genuinely is really good at what he does.
No, he's brilliant. He was referred to me. I tell everybody this. Jeffrey Hayes did my lead in for Grim 101 for my Kickstarter, my video, put everything together. And I've got, and he told me that if he couldn't do it in the time frame that I needed, Jeremy was the next man on deck, So that was, so if Plasma Fire Graphics backs Jeremy, I'm all about it. I like Jeremy anyway, but let me read what Brian wrote here.
I see.
I don't know Mr. Rodden. He lets me call him that. So well behaved on Comic Book Spectrum Thursday at 7. So we've got to put make sure everybody checks out Comic Book Spectrum. It's the best. It is on 7 p.m. on Thursdays. Awesome show. I think it's next to my shows. It's the best one out on our channel. It
is. Yeah, it really is. Like I tried to do like comic book reviews, and theirs is so much better than mine because I think it's because they each focus on one book, and then they interrogate each other and talk about it and everything. And it really is very interesting. So I love their show. Yeah, for sure.
Let's go through a little bit of the Kickstarter because I want people to see some of your artwork.
Okay.
I'm getting some echo. I don't think it's, I don't know. It might be from me, but if you don't hear it, don't worry about it. If anybody else hears it, sorry about that.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So with that picture, the significance of that tower is really the main character of the book, because you see that explosion from 3 angles. So you see it here from a street level. Then the second part of the book, you'll see it from up in the upper part of the skyscrapers. And then the very last part of the book, you'll see it from the mountains. And it really ties the whole book together. So it's a very important scene.
I mean, the detail work on this is just incredible. What kind of time did it take to get this one panel? I mean, one page done. I mean, this is incredible.
Thanks. The drawing, the pencil takes a long time, but the ink's pretty quick once I can get in there and start working on that.
Well, give me some times. I mean, 16 hours, 24 hours. How long did it take?
Yeah, it takes. That'd probably be a good round. I could not do one of these in one day like they do. Yeah. The professionals do these in a day.
I got news for you, dude. You're a professional. You've sold.
You
sold your work. You're a professional.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, it's excellent. I mean, really, I mean, you're on the verge of greatness here. So this is some good stuff. I mean, I'm just, we'll go through the pledges in that in a second, but
Sure. Yeah.
just, I mean, beautiful. And this is all done ink. This is not digital.
Yeah, this is all traditional, and so I'll do.
I love this. I mean, just, I love that. The whole cyber, I just
Thanks,
love it.
man. Yeah, I do the pencils on traditional comic book board, and then I ink it on tracing paper. Then that way I can keep the pencils and ink separate, and tracing paper works out really well. Like, it holds up.
Wow, look at that.
So.
I mean, stellar, dude. Look at the back, the pen work. Yeah, if you guys are, I mean, just, I don't know. I know I'm fanboying a bit, but man, I'm just, I just, this level, I mean, I don't have the patience to draw to this level, the time it takes. I can draw it, you know, as far as my line work and that. I know I can control my lines, but it's just, I would almost lose the story while I was drawing this. It's just incredible. Just beautiful.
I appreciate that. I personally put in all that detail, and I often say this is kind of my catchphrase, I guess. I don't know, but detail makes the unreal look real. And so
yes. No. God's in the details, right?
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I mean, when you look at even the most simplest thing you can think of, you look in the sky with no clouds, there's so much even detail in that.
I love
that.
this. I'm sorry, this isn't in the
Oh,
book,
no, you're good. You're good. No.
Okay.
This is, so the other thing I do, like, I like doing the comic books, but I also like doing abstract art. And this is just a really simple idea I've had, and it's not original to me. I'm sure other people have done it, but basically I just took a photograph and put on levels of acetate and then, or transparencies, and then just cut them so they all put it like 6 of them or 3 of them together. So then it is just different angles. So as you move around it, the portrait changes a bit. So it's just
it's great. You do mathematic art, and that's a
you don't
like math, which is cool.
I like the way it looks.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what we talked about you and I talked about on the Dash of the Dingo as far as engineering, you know, because like I said, your line quality is amazing. I mean, it really is. Now, did you print this out on, you said acetate, did you copy it, or is it vinyl? What is it?
Yeah, I just saw Brian's. I call this piece Chad the Serial Killer because I do really look like that. But actually,
I can't see it right now because I'm on the screen. I'm on the other screen.
Yeah. No, the photograph. I really like the photograph, but it does kind of make me look a bit creepy. So whenever someone's like, "Hey, can I get a headshot or whatever?" I want to send them that one, but
I don't.
So, but anyways,
wanted poster, but I love it.
Yeah,
right, I love it anyway. That's great. Keep talking. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. So yeah, I actually just send it to FedEx, and they just print it off on.
Oh, that's cool.
Transparency.
Right.
So
cool.
it's really easy to do. Yeah.
All right. You've got, let me go back a little bit on this. I know you guys can venture into this awesome Kickstarter. The rewards package. Do you have anything that stands out that you're really proud of on this?
Yeah. So with the rewards, I try to keep it really simple. I did a Kickstarter for the first one about 4 years ago, and I put like tons of stuff in there, like prints and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I've just found, for me personally, when I support, and I know there's some people on here I've supported, like Brian and stuff, but for me, like, no offense to anyone, but all the extras I usually don't like. It's not that I don't care. They just kind of get lost. Like, I want the book.
Absolutely.
And so I just decided for this one, I'm just going to do the book. And so there's only one extra, and that's on the higher tier where you can get original art from the book. So I'll send you an actual penciled and ink page. Then the very top one was a freelance, which someone's already claimed. So
excellent.
Yeah, but other than that, it's just the book. And even the stretch goal, I only have one stretch goal right now, which we met, and I'll probably do one for the last week just as a final kickoff. But it was we'll do a Zoom meeting, so anyone that's
cool.
Anyone that's pledged, we'll do a little Zoom meeting. So after you get the book and you've read it, you can ask me questions and we can interact about the story. So
sounds good. Hey man, if you know, and as it progresses and we get everything done, we'll have you back, and we'll have our own.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that.
It's I mean, you're just awesome. I can't say enough about the book, the series. I can't wait to get the second one. You know,
I appreciate.
I was one of the first. I'm just saying. I was one of the first.
Brian's like, can I pay you to not have the Zoom meeting? Just don't show up. That's all you have to do, you weirdo. So,
oh man, we'll do a StreamYard meeting. You can do a Zoom. We'll do a StreamYard.
Yeah. So,
we won't.
But yeah, the the
One
second
person
one,
we won't invite, but everybody else is welcome.
yeah, we'll block him.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Go
we
ahead.
can
What were
do
you
that
saying?
through
What were you saying,
Zoom or
Chad?
not. No, I was gonna say, but the second one is more involved than the first one. So the first one was like traditional comic book storytelling through the whole thing. With the second one, the first like 6 or 7 pages are just straight narrative.
Yeah.
And I include some maps and everything. So what I'm doing with that, and I want to mention this before, like I like the approach of like Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, where they're coming from a Catholic and an Anglican background, but they're not like, and there's Christian themes, but they're not like hitting you over the head with it.
Right.
They're presenting this world that you want to like really dive in and get to know what's going on there. And that's what I'm trying to do. So
Right.
the first 7 or 8 pages is just all narrative with maps and timelines, so you can get a sense of the world. And it also builds off the first story. So you're going to learn more about one of the main characters. You'll learn about the planet. You'll learn about the geography and the history and that kind of thing. It's not boring. It's a lot of good, really thick information.
You need it for the foundation. I mean, that's
Yes,
you do.
yeah.
I mean, you have to have a world building. You have to have that.
Yes, yeah. So we'll do that, and then the middle part is traditional comic book storytelling. I say that, but in the first couple of pages, I put little.
I don't know, man. It's a graphic. It's a graphic novel, bro. I mean, this isn't a comic book. It really is not. I mean that with confidence. I mean that in a good way.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I probably would be more of an, especially once you see how many words are in it.
So well, the theory, the philosophy behind the concept of different philosophies on different planets. It's that alone is so true to life. If we ended up going to another planet and there's another society there, of course their philosophies are going to be different. Of course. I mean, now you've got this brilliant.
Yeah. And then the last section is on one side will be, and you saw some of the pages there, will be a page, and then on the left side will be a poem. And in the appendice, there will be a commentary on every line of that poem, so you won't be lost. So as you're reading it, you can refer back to the commentary. And it's only about like 5 pages of that, so it's not like, oh, if you hate poetry, you're not going to be, like, oh my gosh, I got this whole book, it's all poetry. But I love poetry. I don't read a whole lot of it, but
I think that your experiment, though, doing that is important, because I mean, I'm trying to do that, not poetry wise, with Grim 101, which I know you supported. Thank you. As well as everybody else on this channel. And I'm trying to stretch the boundaries a little bit. And I think that you're doing the same. That's fantastic, because you're bringing in culture, you're bringing in philosophy, ideas, you're rounding it all in art. And that's a really hard thing to do. I think experimentation on a book like that, like I did too. And it's very important. Very important.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I want to do that for every book. I want to do something that's a bit different. So I'm already thinking on the third book, like I may do a whole separate storyline of one of the groups of characters. So it'll start branching out. And I don't want to get too deep into it, but just trying to think of that. And then there's going to be some other like planets that are going to be pretty wild. There's one, like, for example, this will be years down the road, but there's one called Naphtali, the planet Naphtali, and it's based on a worldview of sex and sensuality, but I'm not going to make it graphic. It's going to be more metaphorical.
Okay.
So it's going to be like, they'll be walking through a forest, but the forest really represents something else.
Okay.
Yeah. So
it's not like don't mean to be disrespectful. It's not a porn planet or anything.
Exactly.
Like that. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to give some fodder to Brian. I figured he'd jump on that. He has a question for you. What are your biggest literary inspirations? And then also, he talked about, have you ever read C.S. Lewis's Space Trilogy?
Yeah, the Space Trilogy is definitely on my list. It's been recommended to me by a lot of people. But I kind of have a reading list literally have a reading list that I'm going through right now. So that's on there. I'll get to it eventually, but I've heard amazing things about it. And then my biggest literary inspirations. So I'm trying to read through, I have this list of the 100 greatest novels of all time. And so I'm trying to read through that. Franz Kafka would probably be one of my biggest. I'm a big fan of his work. The Trial is probably my favorite book of all time.
Book, yeah.
Yeah. Right now I'm reading Don Quixote, and
a lot of light reading you've got there.
yeah. So I like
Is it
that.
the original Spanish or
No.
Okay.
But yeah, as far as other literary, like I love. I'm just trying to look through my book stack here. I love T.S. Eliot.
You like
his
Mark
book
Twain at
here.
all, or no? You a Mark Twain fan?
I'm not a whole lot. I read what did I read? Huckleberry, The Adventures of
Sure,
Huckleberry Finn. I didn't
sure.
really get into that whole lot, but Ray Bradbury, I love.
Sure,
Fahrenheit 451 is one of my favorites.
Mhm.
And then of course C.S. Lewis, and yeah.
I
need to get
have you
to
ever
Dune
read
too.
you ever read the the Vicar of Wakefield?
Not yet, no.
Okay, check that one out.
Okay.
I've got an
Yeah.
original copy of that. It's a really interesting book about it's just very interesting. I think that you'll dig it. Obviously, it's about a vicar from Wakefield, but it's
Okay.
a really good. It's a good fit, I think, for what you're doing. Let's see. Chad Davies asks, so you have worlds with different philosophies, but are there outliers who might have seen opposing views to the
Yes.
planet's philosophy?
Yes.
in the story?
So I'll give you an immediate example. In this
Mhm.
second issue, you're introduced to a new group of characters called the Naturals. And the Naturals see through the utopia that
Mhm.
their society has been presenting, and they are in rebelling. They're rebelling against it. And you'll see it in the third section of the book. You're introduced to them. I won't give it. It's not a big spoiler, but they come down into the city and they steal someone from the city, and then you find out later why they're doing that. But they're fighting against that all the lies they've been told. So every time they go to a planet, yeah, there's going to be. That's the whole point of it, is that they're going to have both sides. Like they're really
Mhm.
wrestling. Like, is this worldview consistent? And I think that's important. That's why it breaks the fourth wall, because I think for everyone, that's important for you to really wrestle with. Like, whatever it is, whether it's atheism or monotheism or polytheism or whatever it is, like
Mhm.
you really have to wrestle with, like, does this consistently work out in life? So I love those kind of questions, and I've spent many years wrestling with that myself. And so that's kind of what's in the book. And I think it really lends to really good storytelling, because then you have, as the characters embracing a worldview, you have another character that comes and challenges that, and there's a crisis there that you have to resolve. And I think as a reader, that really engages
It's intriguing.
you.
Yeah. You funded in how many hours?
I want to say 48 hours.
Yep.
Yeah,
think it was
first
like
2
2 days.
days.
Yep.
Yeah,
That was great.
yeah.
You did real well the first day, though.
Yeah.
You're out of the gate. You did real well.
Yeah,
And then it just
I'm thinking that the next Kickstarter, I might only do like a 2-week one. I know, like
Yeah.
most people do it a
You've
month.
got 2 weeks to go on this Kickstarter now.
Yeah, because I think like with this, like the middle 2 weeks
Yeah.
are really super slow for everyone I've ever
Right.
talked to.
Right.
It's always like the first are like bam, and then the last week, all the people that were like, oh yeah, I was gonna do that, then they get on board. So I think I might just do 2 weeks the next time. Just have everyone like, here you go, just fund it, and we'll,
And we'll go from there. I did
21
21 days, and I think that was long enough. Too.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
funded in 13 hours, and that's great. But
Yeah.
Chad Davies says that's because Chads are great thinkers because of the
That's right.
elbow cough. Okay. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, there's there's something to be said about when you get heavier ideas for comics, or just to get the idea out. How long do you think really? I know you said in high school, but when it really rubber met the road, what was the clincher as far as trying to get the story done? Did it like happen in a month? Did it happen in like a year?
No, it took several years. I mean, I mentioned this in college when my dad died.
Mhm.
He was an atheist when he died,
That's
and
what you were telling me, yeah.
I never really wrestled with those questions up until that point.
Mhm.
And so I went into about a 4 or 5 year tailspin where I didn't know what to do with life. And
Yeah.
so I read a lot of philosophy, a lot of different religions, just trying to find basically the answers that I was looking for. And it's not like I've arrived. I mean, I still have questions that I wrestle with, but that's really the inspiration behind this book, is that I think at the baseline, if everyone's away from the crowds and by themselves, I think we all wrestle with those fundamental issues. You know, what happens when we die? What's the purpose of why we're here? What makes us different than animals or things or beings or whatever? Like what are we doing here? You know, and that's
why are we conscious?
yes. Yeah. Why is there something rather than not being something? You know, like those fundamental issues you may not talk about at McDonald's, but they are something that I think gnaws at us.
Well,
when,
and they're primal to the core. I mean, especially when you're grieving. I mean, I know when my mother died, my dad died, there's a definite, wrestled with, their beliefs and their religion and what they dealt with. Even if, like your dad had a religion, was atheism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Brian Rodman, Chad, check out the Comics Launch podcast episode on Quick Starter.
Quick Starters. Yeah. I'll check that out for sure. Yeah.
And walks through during short. That's good. Check that out. Like I said,
so
I am getting some echo. Sorry if it's bothering you, but
I'm not hearing the echo.
Okay.
So I apologize if it's on my side.
No, you're good.
But yeah, I was going to say so the story itself took, many years, because it started off, like I said, the Silent Knights was a typical like superhero. Here's these three characters, kind of high school. And then once my life kind of had a philosophical twist, that story changed, and I wanted to make it reflect that. So now it's the silence is really the one thing I say is the characters go out into the universe trying to find these answers, but they're faced with this silence. They can't get this answer they're looking for. And so it took many years just to kind of think through what this is looking like.
How do you write? Do you write like stream of consciousness, or how do you do it?
No, I usually write through the visual first. So I'll like sit there and think, okay, what scenes am I going to do? And I draw it out first, and then I'll go back in and do the writing.
Yeah.
So like, for example, on issue 3, I'm already starting to think of like, what's the opening scene? What are they going to do? What's the last thing? I usually try and think what's the beginning and the end, and then try and figure out all the pieces in the middle. I know on the 3rd issue, probably the very first page will be them discovering or going over to check out this crash in the building, and then the last page I think will be them leaving the planet. But I'm still thinking through that. So
I do the same, B, and then I try to fit what But I'll do stream of consciousness though. I'll just write my thoughts down, but I draw in the margins, and I'm sketching constantly because that's how I remember things. Yeah. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and I have a larger like framework for the story because so I've already written out an outline for where point A to point B is going to go in the bigger story, and so I'm fitting these individual stories within that, trying to get the characters to a certain place.
Are you adding on to your house to you have the rest of the walls you can? Is that how you do it? You draw everything up. No,
my wife gives me a hard time because I keep taking up space. So like, I have an office here, and then I have a library downstairs, and then I jump rope and work out in the garage, and then I have a painting studio out there. So she's like, she's like, everyone gives us a hard time, like, well, where's her spot? And I always just say, wherever she wants. If she wants a spot, she can have it. So.
Build her a greenhouse. That's all I gotta say. I mean, at least people get to know who you are now, at least a little tiny bit, because the biggest thing is I want to make sure people see the it sounds corny, the greatness, but I want them to see who you are at the beginnings of what is going to be, I think, a great career. And I think that you've waited long enough to get to the point where you're going to do some really amazing things. And I'm glad that I could showcase you in a way that hopefully gets you a few people to really look at what your genius. So
thank you.
Anything you want to add to this? We're a little over an hour, so I want to kind of wrap it up. Is there anything else you want to talk about or anything?
No, I would just say, obviously that all the plugs, my 5-year or long-term goal is I'd love to be able to have a career publishing the Silence, doing the Patreon, and just publishing art for people to buy, prints, and those kind of things. So just be checking out my Patreon, check out Facebook, Instagram. I do a lot of TikTok videos, and I'm talking with Jeremy about doing some tutorials as far as like a whole drawing like a program that people can go through on learning how to draw. So yeah, that would be it. So
That's right. Well, I think that's great. You got a 5-year goal. That's awesome. Chad Davies says, I have to finish my son. I do have to finish the greenhouse actually for Christine. He's absolutely right. So, but it's architecture's evolution. It happens as it goes. So,
There you go.
but yeah, you're, you've got a set goal, and that's awesome. You're, how many books do you think you're going to have out this year? Just the one?
I just want a year. Yeah.
1 a year. Okay.
If
And
I
that's a
can
good
do
goal.
more,
That's a
yeah.
good goal. How many
Yeah.
pages is this one? The next one coming out? Do
If
we
it
know?
includes all the sketches and everything, probably
Mhm.
about 60 or 70
Very good.
pages. Yeah.
Well, that's reasonable. That's reasonable. They're well-made books. I do recommend, they're definitely TED Tribe approved. So,
Thank you.
and you are part of TED's Tribe, Chad. So,
Thank you.
you guys are, you're always welcome. You know that. Brian, we'll talk about Rodman later, but
He's got a Kickstarter coming out here soon.
I know he does. I
October.
can't wait to have him back on, and we can talk a little bit more about
Yeah.
that. Everybody needs to have a little bit more about Rodman, in their
Yeah.
lives. But
That guy does a book like every other month.
I know,
don't
man. He's
understand it.
amazing.
Yeah.
He's an amazing machine. So,
Yeah.
Chad, thank you for stopping
you.
in, man. I appreciate you. Everybody, check out what's going on with the Kickstarter, the Silence. Is it the Silence 2? Or is it the Silence?
You can type either one into the
Okay.
Kickstarter, but it is the Silence 2. Yeah.
Okay, and just because it's funded doesn't mean that there isn't enough room for you on the boat too. So
That's right. Yeah.
figure out if you guys want to invest in that, and then if not, like and share it. That would be awesome.
Absolutely.
It'll help him.
Yep.
And stick
For
around
sure.
for a minute. We'll talk in a second, but I appreciate you coming in, man. All right.
Yeah.
Great
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate
Thanks.
it.
Yep. So yeah. So now you guys at least know a little bit more about Chad. He is. You're going to see a lot of great things happening with him. I think he's going to be somebody that you're really going to appreciate his work, and really see that you can do it too. I mean, it's never too late to do things. I mean, he's in his mid-40s. All right. I was in my mid-40s. I've been doing this for a long time, but I just, I got published 2 years ago. So it's taken me, years and years to get to the point where I feel comfortable, and I feel that I've got something to offer now. So don't take don't make it so that it's not something that the world would not benefit if you did bring something into the world as far as creations, artwork, books. Just do it and get out there. And hopefully that's what this is about. So plug into what we're doing with Rising Tide Broadcast Network, because I think you guys will, as creatives, you should be already plugged in with what we're doing on Facebook and the YouTube channel. And of course, this channel, please subscribe. Grim 101, my Kickstarter that did very, very well. Thanks to everybody investing in it and believing in it. Update, everything's over at the printers right now. We're waiting to receive the books here, probably about a week or so. We're getting everything else done, ready for fulfillment. And that should be ready to go out at like I said, the end of August, first week of September. We should have everything out for fulfillment, digital copies, all that stuff. So I'll keep you updated on everything, but it's easier sometimes on the channel than updating through Kickstarter sometimes. So, and of course, Drinking with the Davies on Friday. Check out what we're doing. Christine's got a drink and then a bonus as well. It's going to be really good. So check in what we're doing. That's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard with Drinking with the Davies. And we're doing the sidecar, which I think is, it's got cognac in it, which I don't think is a bad thing on a Friday night. So check it out. See what you guys think. And I appreciate everything that you guys bring to this channel. Thank you so much for stopping in. I'm going to leave you with actually, you know what? I'll leave you with the Truth Mongers. Check us out tomorrow night at 7 p.m.